Hello again, this is Woods Houghton with Eddy County Extension Office at 1304 West Stevens, or you can call us at 887-6595, and it's county fair time again. That's all, Eddy County Fair this year is going to be July 25th through 30th up in Artesia at the fairgrounds on 13th and Fairgrounds Road. Hope to see you there. You can always catch me. I'll be there every day from 6 in the morning till midnight. So, and in fact, I just take my mobile home and live up there. But there's all the kinds of things that go on at the county fair. We got cows, we got horses, we got sheep and goats and pigs. The one thing we don't have is gophers. And the reason we don't have gophers is we trap them. And everybody doesn't want any gophers in their yard. And so let's go out and I'll show you how to set a DK1 gopher trap that you can pick up at most feed stores. And that way you can take care of those little pesky pests. I get calls all the time of people, I tell them to use those traps and they say, well, I set them and it didn't work. So I figured, let's go out there and show you how to set one, and then you'll be able to see it as well as hear about it or read the instructions that came with it. So, all right, let's go out and find us some gophers to get. Eddy County Fair buyers while I'm at it. Okay, so let's go get some gophers. We got lots of fair books here at the office. If you need a fair book, pick it up here. And Robin, I'm going to go out and see if we can trap some gophers or show people.
That just came in, you want that?
Yeah. Southeastern New Mexico Feral Hog Symposium. We've been trying to put this together for a couple months. It's going to be May 25th, 9 to noon at the fairgrounds in Roswell. And I'm going to be going up there, so if you need a ride, give a call to me. We got a 15-passenger van, and I'll be glad to give you we'll leave here about 8 o'clock in the morning, about 7:30 in the morning, and talk about one of the problems of feral hogs, which is they do carry diseases to livestock and to people, as well as just tear things up. Almost as bad as gophers. So with that, we're going to go, almost everybody in town has gophers, but we're going to go over here by the canal. There's always gophers over there. I see them every time I drive by, so let's hope there's some over there. Let's go take a look. Yeah, gophers, they eat the roots, they disturb the soil, and if you're a farmer, they're a real pain in the neck because when you're irrigating, they'll wash out your border and you can lose lots of water. You can lose a tremendous number of acre feet of water just because of gophers. And one gopher will occupy up to an acre with burrows, 825 feet of burrows for one gopher. That's a lot of space underneath there. And I don't mind gophers as long as they're not where they're hurting something that we need. If they're out here on the rangeland or out here somewhere where they're not bothering, that's where God put them, that's where they need to belong. But when they start coming into our landscapes, they start coming into our farms and causing detrimental damage, then we have to do something about them. And the only, you can either trap them or you can poison them or you can fumigate them. There's no good way to live trap gophers that they've found out, so that you can't really live trap them and move them like you can prairie dogs and some of the other underground rodents. But gophers, because they stay underground, there's just no way to do this in a way that you can take them and move them somewhere. So, okay, well, if you don't mind, we'll get in this truck again. And we're ready to go. And you notice I keep my fair book in the truck. my dog likes to I got the best dog chasing gopher dog in the world. He loves to go out and irrigate when I'm irrigating on the farm, because the water floods through there and pushes the gophers up, and he grabs them and thinks they're fun. Gophers don't carry any disease to pets that I know of, except for fleas and ticks, and any rodent carries those with them. And so you do have to worry about the possibility of fleas and ticks. And but that's the only thing I know that can be on gophers. And you know, the other problem is like in sports fields. We're just going by the National Little League here, and I know when I used to take care of this, when my son was in National Little League, I took care of the grounds there, and we've had a number of young athletes who were injured because of gopher holes, and they fell in the gopher hole. So that's another issue that in your yard, if you got kids playing in your yard, you have to think about and worry about, so that you don't cause an injury with while their kids are out there playing. And they're mainly a problem in the spring and in the fall, and because that's when they'll be up close to the surface. When it gets real hot in the summertime, they can go as deep as 8 feet. I know when I had to replace a pipeline in my irrigation system on my farm, I dug a ditch that was 12 feet deep, and there were gopher holes 12 feet deep. And the wildlife guy at wildlife specialist in New Mexico State could not believe that. I took pictures of it and sent it to him. He says, you know, number one, I didn't know there was soil in New Mexico that was 12 feet deep. And number two, he never, saw gophers go that deep. And and they'll go underneath sidewalks. Like I said, one gopher can cover up to an acre. And this time of year, we also see more gophers in the spring, because the pups have gotten kicked out of the nest, and they're having to go and look for a home or look for a new space. And so they're looking for soil that's freshly torn up, like your garden, and that's moist. And the only place you're going to find moist soil in New Mexico right now, after 210 days with no moisture, is going to be somewhere that's irrigated and has water. And so that's what they're looking for. So they'll go run around until there's some gopher holes right there. We didn't have to go very far. Put our emergency flashes on because we're where we're not supposed to be. And somewhere in here is one of these boxes. Here it is. It has my gopher kit. And we look around, and when you see gopher holes that are falling in, these aren't active anymore. They've they've already vacated those. You notice that they're all right here along the curb, because the moisture accumulates along here next to the street, comes off this hill, accumulates here, so that's where they're going to be at. And you'll see them all up and down this corner here. But we want to find some active mounds, and you can see right there the kind of damage they do to the lawn. We know they just mowed this park not too long ago, so we're going to look for a couple mounds that look active, like right in here. And I can't show you, but there's always they make a horseshoe shaped mound, and you can kind of see it like this. And that's where they push the dirt up, and the main burrow would be more back this way. Now what I use is a surveyor stake, but a Phillips head screwdriver will work. Just about anything like that. And and a little hand garden shovel, and I got two different sizes. You know, one case it's a little narrower than the other. And what I'll do is I'll start probing around, and I'll find where that burrow is. See how soft that is right there? So we know that burrow is nice. That's where it's at. And they need to water, but and I kind of poke around here, find out which way it goes, and it goes off that way. So you need to make sure you get it good and cleaned out good, and then make sure you got it so that you can feel the burrow going both directions, and I can on that one. And this is a rarity. I got a new trap, but we'll take always store your traps sprung, by the way. That way the maintains your tension. You set your trap by taking this little hook right here and hooking it right there, and then you slide this up here like that, crank that thing around, and then you want to come back and set that so it's a hair trigger. I like to lean it forward just a little bit, and then set it down in the burrow, put your stake so they can't run off with it, and come back tomorrow morning and you should have a gopher. And what happens is the one thing I like about the DK1 trap is gophers don't like to have their mound open. So they'll come pushing dirt up, and they'll push this dirt up in here, and they'll trip the trap, and the trap will grab them behind the neck and kills them pretty instantaneously, pretty humanely. So that's one of the reasons I like the DK1 trap over the Maccabee trap. The Maccabee trap, what you have to do is dig up the mound, and you set one trap going this way and one trap going that way. So no matter which direction the gopher's coming, he'll run into that trap. Then you have to cover it up and put dirt on top of it, otherwise gophers won't get it. And so that's how you trap a gopher. And always I keep these oiled. This one's not oiled because it's rusty, but I like to keep these oiled with WD-40 and whatnot. And don't leave the traps for more than 24 hours. Well, one, it's just inhumane to the gopher, and number two, you don't want to have it out there and have somebody inadvertently get caught in it or something. Dogs usually won't bother these traps. That's the other thing that's nice about them. My dog did once. It pinched him on the nose. He never touched it again. But he was always interested when I'm digging and planting a gopher trap on the farm. And you know, the Carlsbad Soil and Water Conservation District will pay you a bounty for gopher traps. My daughter did that when she was in junior high school. And one summer she trapped my farm and trapped the neighbor's farm, and didn't go very far, anyway, as far as she could go away from the house on a bicycle, and she made about $3,000 that summer. So it could be a pretty good little income for juveniles who are looking for something to do in the summertime. And she'd get up early in the morning, ride that bicycle out there. She's the best gopher trapper I ever had. My son wasn't nearly as good at trapping gophers as she was. So, but as you can see, they can sure do a lot of damage to the landscape and kill trees and they also do a lot of damage to farmland. So, with water running in the ditch and gopher season's about, get them now. They'll disappear in the middle of the summer, but they'll be back in the fall. And I don't care how many gophers you trap, there's always some next year. One thing that's going to survive a nuclear holocaust is gophers, coyotes, and flies. So, with that, we'll go on down, and all this damage here, by the way, is probably done by 1 or 2 gophers. Let's go to another spot and see if we can trap another gopher. One of the things about 4-H and FFA and the county fair is that's a job for those kids in the summertime. They'll work. That's the other thing my 3 children did when they were growing up, was they all raised lambs. We raised lambs on our farm, and so they raised lambs, and we always bought some pigs to grow out and a steer, and they show them at the fair. And then the fair, they're judged on the quality that they've been fed out, their genetic ability, the conformation and whatnot of that animal, and the top winners get to sell their animals at the livestock auction. That's how you become an Eddy County Fair buyer, like the cap I have on. Is you bid on those animals, and that's a source of income for those kids. And I know my oldest son, Joshua, he went off to go to college, and I told him all the money he got on his animals, that was his spending money for college. And so when he got ready to go off to college, he had close to $10,000 in the bank that lasted him through the 4 years of college as far as helping him out with his books and his other expenses besides tuition, and that was a real good thing. And the other thing that kids can do is raise a small garden, and on just a little piece of ground that's 20 foot by 40 foot, not real big. You can raise a lot of vegetables and tomatoes and that type of thing, and sell them at the farmers market on Saturday down at the courthouse. And there's 4 or 5 kids I know that are doing that, as well as some adults that senior citizens that are on fixed income that have done that, and some other people. It's a good source of fresh produce that's produced close by, and it's also a good way of earning and a sense of accomplishment that you've earned that, because you actually planted the seed, you took care of that plant, you grew it up, you harvested it, and then you took it down and sold it. And with all my kids, I took with gopher traps. I bought my daughter her first dozen, and then after that she had to buy her own. She had close to 100 traps when she got done. And their livestock, well, we raised our own lambs. I gave them their first lamb, and then after that they had to buy their lamb from me. And they learned a lot, and there's a lot of things you can learn in 4-H, FFA, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. All these programs are out there, and I encourage any young person in the summertime, get involved in these youth groups. I don't care which one you get involved in, but get involved in something, because the Do Nothing Club won't get you anywhere. Right there. Didn't have to go very far, did we? trap on the farm, you should talk to the owner first and find out who owns that farm and just ask them. I don't know a farmer in the world that doesn't want you to trap gophers, but and we're right here on the side of the road, and you can see the gopher damage here in his field, and all the grass, the weeds that are coming up in that alfalfa is where the gophers are. You can see that gopher mound right over there, and all up and down here. Now this one here. And that one there, because the dirt's dark, nice and dark. So they're the newest one. And again, we'll pull out our. Now this one is kind of unique. Sometimes you get into where there's not actually a burrow, but a feeding burrow, and that's what that one was. Oh, there we go. But we might be able to open up something here. Sometimes it takes a little chasing to find that burrow and get it going. But I was hoping with this soil being a little bit moister, it might be a little easier than it was up there on in town. There we go. Nice open. Can't be afraid to get dirty if you're going to trap gophers. That's one thing. And when you can feel the burrow and it's open on both sides, and you reach in there and you can feel that, then you know it's open and you're ready to set your trap. A lot of times people don't dig out enough, and if you don't dig it out so that you got a burrow on each side so it's open, you're not doing anything. You just got a hole in the ground that you're putting a trap in. So you got to dig down there far enough that you can feel the burrow and know that that gopher is going to feel that air coming in there and want to take care of it, because he doesn't want a snake or a predator or a dog coming after him. Yeah, you want to make sure you if you're going to have your child do this, make sure they know what they're doing. Make sure you don't get your hand stuck in it, because it does hurt. I've done it, and nobody that's ever, and you want to set it, and you don't want to push it all the way in there. You want to pull it back up just a little bit like that, because if you push it all the way into the other side, the gopher's just going to walk by it. So you want to push it about like that and then stake it. Then notice I've painted my rod, the top of it's orange. And that way you can see it. You can also tie surveyor's tape onto it so you can see it. It makes it easier to find them, but also you don't trip over them. And you should come back, and actually you could probably come back in about an hour and maybe find a gopher. Sometimes it takes a day, sometimes it takes just a few minutes. I've actually had him come up and trip the trap while I was sitting here getting ready to put my stuff up. So with that, they're pretty ubiquitous. You don't see very many places without gophers. And this time of year I probably get 40 to 50 phone calls a week just on gophers. So I hope that helps you learn how to set a DK1 trap, you can pick those up at the feed store, either Circle S here in Carlsbad or Bowling Green up in Artesia. I don't know anybody